my name is Miranda, and today I'm here to review the first episode of part 1 of the chilling adventures of Sabrina. I have been so looking forward to this show practically since it was announced. I loved Sabrina the Teenage Witch when I was younger. It was just like, it was a show I remember I would always watch when I was like homesick from school, or just, it was just great. So I was really excited that they were making a remake and also adding kind of a Riverdale-esque twist to it and making it more gritty and more horror and all that. Like, I was super looking forward to this. So, focusing on the first episode, I think it was a great introduction to these characters, or reintroduction I guess, since we already know some of them, and then an introduction to the ones we don't know. I love the idea of putting a darker twist on the whole idea of being a witch and how you have to basically sign your name away and go to a school and just basically say goodbye to your mortal life forever to be a witch. I think it adds another element to it, because with the original Sabrina, she was just focused on, you know, like keeping her witchness, if you could call it that, a secret. Whereas this one, there are more dire consequences. Like, I believe they mentioned that she'll lose her powers if she doesn't go through with her dark baptism and everything like that. So she's basically truly choosing between her mortal world and her witch world. And I feel like that's a really good, it's just a question of identity, you know? And she's 16, which is not a coincidence that it's like just this question of who you're gonna be, and I think everyone goes through that. They're just personifying it in this idea of, do you want to be a witch and walk the path of night, or do you want to be immortal and walk the path of light? I was interested to, I wonder if there are like good witches, you know, because they talked about the path of night versus the path of light, and it seemed like the path of light was just what mortals, like humans, did. But I do wonder if maybe that will come in later, like there's a coven out there somewhere that is like directly opposite them and they work more with the path of the light or something like that, or if maybe there's different kind of supernatural beings that are going to be introduced. I can't really see vampires or werewolves being among the path of light, but I just think it'll be interesting to see if maybe they're keeping that a secret from Sabrina and she finds out and gets upset that she's like, you've been telling me all this time that like I have to do this, this is my only choice, but then it turns out there's another path that I could take. I think that'll be interesting, but they did make it seem like the path of light is just for humans, although they didn't touch on it too much, so I think that could be a cool expansion that they might add on to. I loved Sabrina so much, and no surprise, I loved Sabrina so much. I think the actress they cast for her is absolutely perfect, and she just embodies kind of that there's so many emotions to go into it, because she has kind of this like lightheartedness when she's with her human friends and she's in the human world, as we saw when she was at the movies with Harvey and all her friends, and she was just, you know, oh, that scene with her and Harvey, the first scene together where they're just like chasing each other around and he's pretending to be a zombie, like that's just so adorable and cute to me, and you can just feel like the lightness in the air and the happiness and the love. But then you also see like when she's using her powers, there's a darker twist to it, but she's also getting a lot of enjoyment out of that. So that's interesting to see. I think even Ambrose touched on it. He was like, you liked doing that spell. Like, it gave you a sense of satisfaction. She's like, yeah. So it's interesting in that nothing is, there's good aspects to all of what she's feeling, and I think the actress portrays them all perfectly, especially the conflict she starts to feel and being like, I don't necessarily want to have to give up my whole life just to do this thing. And I think that's a question where it's cool that the show is kind of focusing on that girl power and that self-autonomy, where it's like she wants control of her own life. She doesn't want to have to give it all away to do this thing. And she even said it herself. She was like, I'm not saying that I don't want to go through with this, I just want to understand. Like, if I have to give up so much, I want to understand why I have to, other than that's just the way it's always been. And I think that's, again, something that's very relatable, and people who are struggling maybe to find their identity and find who they are. They want to know kind of why they're doing what they should do, especially when you don't have a choice. Like, Sabrina really doesn't have, she has a choice, but everyone's expecting her to do one thing, and that's what she's been raised to do. I do think they're totally lying about her parents being like, they wanted you to do this. Like, I don't think her parents would have wanted her to do that at all, and I'm wondering if maybe that's where it came in, where there's going to be like another sort of coven that isn't as dark as this one, because I just feel like her dad was definitely still a part of the coven. They said that. He almost got kicked out, but he wasn't. But then how did her mom fit in? Like, I feel like there has to be something else. There has to be a reason that they were killed, because they were definitely killed. It wasn't an accident. And I feel like maybe that's it. Like, they didn't want this for Sabrina. There was something else that they expected her to do, and they killed them before they could tell her, and now the aunts are just kind of like, yeah, this is what you wanted to do. Hilda seems so nice though and so bad at lying that the fact that she was like, yeah, they always say this, like, she said it too quickly, but she also said it very well that, like, I'm gonna be, like, upset if she's lying to her about that, but I feel like she must be, you know, because there's gotta be something more to it. Like, they can't have wanted their daughter to do this, especially her mother. Her mother almost lost her husband and lost, like, herself for this, and it's like there's no way they would want their daughter just to willingly join this coven, you know what I mean? So I'm definitely looking forward to finding out more of the lore of, like, what happened with her parents particularly, you know, because I feel like there's definitely something there. And then there's also definitely something with potential witch hunters. I said before this show started that I think Harvey's family might be involved with the witch hunters just because it gives him and his family a bit more to do in this, like, series other than just be the boyfriend. And I do really love Harvey, but he was kind of, he had some Archie season 1 to him in this first episode. Like, I feel like he just wasn't there. Like, you know what I mean? And especially, like, when Sabrina had to go through that corn maze and everything, and he just, like, left her and then was like, where were you? I was waiting for you by the car. I was like, sir, you left her to go get pumpkins, almost ran over some kids in your haste to go get them, and then we're just like, where were you? Like, I feel like there just needs to be more character development with him, and I think having him find out that he comes from a family of witch hunters will be a good development if that does happen. I just think that could be a good way to tie it all together and kind of add more of what might add problems to Sabrina and his relationship. I do love when she told him. I wish she hadn't erased his memory, but, like, I was super impressed. I was like, yes, just tell him already, like, he can take it. And I feel like had she just given him a little bit of time, he might have adjusted to it, because he was like, yeah, this is a lot to take in, but he wasn't, like, running away. It was like he was just kind of, like, pacing and trying to think it out, I think, and she just kind of panicked and was like, no, like, we'll just forget it then, and did the spell. But he was kind of like, wait, like, no, like, so I think that he's gonna be upset if and when he finds out that she erased his memory, because I would very much be upset. But I also think she should have just given him more time, because I feel like he was wrapping his head around the idea, and it's a lot to take in. So she should have just given him, like, a 5-minute reprieve, let him go find some pumpkins, and he would have been fine. Overall, though, I really, really loved this episode. I feel like it did a great job of blending creepiness with kind of, you know, more, like, lightheartedness. The set design is so beautiful. Like, I absolutely loved the scene in the corn maze, which just, well, I guess it was more of a hay maze. Well, there was corn in it. So the maze, let's call it, when she was being chased by that thing that the lady was controlling. That was such a cool scene. And then for Salem to come and save her really helped show their bond, I think, but it was just really, really cool. It felt scary, you know, when she was being chased in that maze. Like, the mazes are just horrible in general, so now to be, like, chased through something and you don't know where you're going, that's, like, that was a really, really cool visual to see. And then also I just love Salem saving her, like I said. I also really, really love Ambrose. I feel like he's a really interesting character, and I'm super excited to see more with him. I hope he doesn't turn on Sabrina, because he really seems like an ally to her, someone she can tell kind of, like, all her concerns and stuff like that, and really seems to help her. The only thing is the apple. He told her about the apple, and then the apple turned out to be, like, something super crazy. So I don't know if that was necessarily his fault and it's just something to do with Sabrina, which is why she saw that, or if he was really trying to send her somewhere that she would see some not good things. One thing I want to do for every episode review I do for this is I want to rank the characters in order from my favorite to my least favorite after every episode and see how they change. I'm not going to include all the characters because some of them I just, like, don't really have opinions on yet. So for this episode, favorite, definitely Ambrose, then Sabrina, then Salem, then Roz, then Harvey, then Aunt Hilda, then Susie, then Zelda, and then the Weird Sisters. That's probably how I'm feeling right now. I feel like we didn't get to see a ton with the Weird Sisters, so we'll see more about them. I know they start to become somewhat friends based on the trailer, so we'll see with that. But if you have seen this first episode of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, please feel free to leave your thoughts about it down below in the comments. Also, make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel down below too. It'll make all sorts of witchy new videos, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!